We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Well That Effing Figures. Tonight we have Reverend Tommy Gunn, the founder of FreakShow Deluxe. So, Tommy, thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm so glad I could be here, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about what you do, the traveling freak show, and I find it really cool when I look at the pictures on Instagram and check out the YouTube. It's really a cool thing. So we can't wait to dive into that. So, yeah, so tell us a little bit about how it started and what you do.
Well, I personally started in entertainment with my parents' traveling theatrical show. So from the age of 5, I was on stage. And then I was, I don't want to get too much into it, but, while I was traveling with my parents doing these shows, I picked up a little skill here, a little skill there, a little fire eating here, a little, using whips or whatever over here. And then, but I hadn't really put it into use for anything until 2001. I'd been brought into a theater that I'd previously worked at as an actor to start doing their marketing. And it happened to be my first day at work was 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Of 2001. So once we figured out everybody that we knew in New York and stuff was okay, the question was, were we still going to do this big haunted attraction fundraiser that we did that the theater did every year? Because it was a huge moneymaker. And I really pushed for yes to do it because people need some escape. They want to be scared, but they want to feel safe at the same time. And I luckily I was right, and it took off, and it was so busy. People were buying tickets and standing for 2 hours in line to get in. I had to start doing stuff to entertain the line because they were just, standing there. So I grabbed some scrap stuff and I built a bed of nails, which I knew how to do, and some fire things. Another guy there said, "Hey, I know how to do, this and this and this." And I said, "You're with me." And we started doing shows for people waiting in line. And then it took off. It took off real big from there. We ended up setting things in a side stage. You paid additional money to go inside, so a genuine sideshow. And then we kind of got popular. Next thing you know, we're doing rock concert events and stuff like that. And then I removed to Hollywood. I had lived there years before, and we opened our own theater, and and this was around 2004. So around that time was the beginning of America's Got Talent. And about a third of the acts that were on America's Got Talent that year had been at our theater in the previous 6 months, because we were specializing in variety, vaudeville, sideshow, that kind of thing. And that put us on the map. And next thing you know, the phone's ringing, people wanting the show everywhere, and it's everywhere it goes. So now we do, you name it, we've probably done it or something similar. We do amusement parks, especially for their Halloween events. We do colleges and corporate events, university events, music festivals. We've done the Gathering of the Juggalos I don't know how many times. We've done, stuff at biker rallies and biker events. We were at the Full Throttle Saloon for a bunch of years. So, and sharing the stage with big name actors and performers, and and just having a great time.
Nice.
At the same time doing it. We get and FreakShow Deluxe, the company, specializes in the classic American carnival sideshow acts. So you're looking at fire eating, fire breathing, the bed and nails, sword swallowing, human blockhead, all of that kind of thing, as well as some Western arts with like bullwhip and quick draw, and then burlesque performers. And we actually have people who are genuine human anomalies, who are special people who perform. Dakota the Bearded Lady has worked with us for a long time, and we've also got Banjo Slacks, the lobster boy, has worked with some giants. The professor, who's a little person, and as often as we can, we try to have that in the show as well. So it's a great. It leads to some pretty wacky, adventures. I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean but it is work. I mean, it's a lot of fun and stuff, but it is work, and we do take it very seriously. There's not a lot of fooling around and that sort of thing. I mean, the shows I have a master's in theater, actually, so using my theatrical expertise, some of the performers are just really great. They're great performers, whether they're performing with FreakShow Deluxe or they're performing with someone else. Like they're really. I mean, there's real talent there. And then you get the, it's that thing. Like people always come up after the show like, well, I could do, the act so-and-so did. I'm like, that's great. Can you do it 8 times a day for 10 days in a row? Because if you can't, then that, anybody can pound a 6-inch steel spike into their skull. What makes it an act is remaining unhurt.
Exactly. Right. There you go.
Being able to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What's your favorite act that you perform?
Man,
like the one that you can't wait to do when you go on the road?
Well, since I get to be in charge of stuff for the most part, I get to decide what act I get to do. And my favorite, probably I'd use it as a show opener a lot, is Blockhead, where I pound a 6-inch steel spike into one nostril with a hammer, and then take a screwdriver, stick it in the other nostril. I have a member of the audience on stage helping me, pulling them in, taking them out, making sure for everybody who is watching to show that it's all real, because there's no magic and there's no illusion. Because that sort of thing takes talent, and I don't have any of that. All I got is just an idiot who shoves stuff in his face. So that's what I got. But for me, it was really important and it always has been, that I am at least able to do, or have at least in the past been able to do, the acts of all the performers in the show. Because I wouldn't let somebody do something that I wouldn't do myself.
Right.
I wouldn't let them risk it themselves,
So you can do everything in the whole show. Pretty much.
That's pretty much. There's some acts I don't like that I've done them.
Yeah, like your least favorite.
Sword swallowing.
I don't know. The pounding the screwdriver in my nose doesn't sound too fun either for me personally. But.
Well, and that's fair. I mean, that's fair. But the swords I was able to glom a sword. I'm not a sword swallower. I have swallowed a sword once, but I leave it up to people who are far better at doing it than I am. I would just assume not. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then fire performing is always phenomenal. Is always great. Fire performing is one of the things that it's the easiest one to learn, but it's the hardest one to master.
Yeah.
I mean, the easy part is, just don't catch fire. But it's
like we were talking about, especially with the beard, right?
Yeah.
and then long hair.
I only grew the beard in like just the past couple of years, as sort of a tribute to AJ, who was my mentor for a lot of years, and he and it's just easy to screw up for all kinds of things that have nothing to do with you. If you're outside, the wind could change direction, blow flames another direction. The next thing you know, everything's on fire. So that's really the super risky one.
Yeah. How often does something take a bad turn? Have you had like something go wrong in one of your acts ever? Or?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only speak for myself and things I've done now. And of course, I've been doing this for, 24 years. So it's not, does something happen? It's when does something, it's not if, it's when. But in the early days, I had a pretty good sized bed of nails. It was like a full size coffin with 8-inch nails on it. And I was lying on it and I had 300-pound wrestlers getting all lined up, standing on top of me. And one of them slipped and fell.
Oh
shit!
And that was a little ouchy, but I came through it. I survived. Then I came through it. I was holding targets for a knife thrower, and I was not holding the target correctly. Okay. There's a certain way you were supposed to, that you were supposed to hold it, and I did not, and I got, and I didn't get cut, but the handle hit my finger. It broke the fingernail. Like while I was on stage, I was trying to keep it like under wraps so no one thought that I'd been cut by anything. What are some, in the very early days, like in that first year, I was breathing fire, and those wind changed direction and like took off an eyebrow and some eyelashes and stuff. And I went backstage. I'm like, hey, I need a break. And I went backstage and I put on burn gel and stuff, because I was hurting a little bit. And I went back out and started again and found out that burn gel is flammable.
Oh,
that was good. That was a lesson right there.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
But real quick, you minimize injuries by knowing what to do. And so I was immediately extinguished it and like, thank you, good night. I'm done. And
show's over.
Show's over. And exited out. So.
And for my next trick, I'm disappearing. We're out of here.
Exactly.
Well, one of our buddies in the chat, I think he's looking for a job. He said he can play ride the unicycle and play ukulele at the same time.
So really?
Yeah. I don't know if you're looking for anybody, but Rex over here.
Maybe. we could possibly make that happen. So I would say send me a note about that.
There you go. See, Rex, he also makes props and replicas for like Star Wars and things like that. And he's pretty awesome at that too.
He's
he got many talents, it sounds like.
Very talented.
Yeah.
That's great. That's what I find. Do you guys find that too? That like people you meet them and like their focus is one thing, but you find out they're talented in all this doing all
all the time.
Everybody except me. I'm just pretty blah, Here I am. This is it.
Nah.
I'd say that's been one of the better things about doing this YouTube stuff and everything is meeting everybody from around the country, even around the world. Honestly,
oh sure.
2 years ago, I didn't know nobody, and now I know a ton of people.
Yeah, without this, like I would never have met. We never meet each other, at all.
Right.
But now, if we go to a convention or something somewhere, and it's usually like when I meet somebody, it's usually like I know them forever. So it's really brought people together. So it's pretty.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great. Being in this digital age is really a great thing. I think the pros. There are cons certainly, but the pros to it really outweigh. Everything else.
Yeah, if you use it the right
I may
way.
meet you. I may meet you when you come back to Maryland. You're going to do another show at the brewery. That's relatively close to me, probably about 10 minutes away. 10 minutes away. So that'd be cool. Right. I'll definitely be there. Yep.
Cool. Because we'll be at the Fifth Company Brewing.
Yep.
We were there last year, and we're going to be coming in May
18th.
May
right?
18th.
Yep.
May 18th. We'll do FreakShow Deluxe. We'll do several days. We're bringing in a full stage setup and all that. We set up outside. And last year they had some vendors and some other things, and we were hoping to build on it for this year with some additional, maybe some games and maybe a couple other. But it's a festival that happens right there.
Yeah.
Do you
fun.
Do you do any shows in Canada?
We have done shows in Nova Scotia and a couple other places, but not since the pandemic. Things were for us. Certainly, we're very, very busy until the pandemic hit, and then it kicked everything back. But I mean, we're back to starting to do more and more. So I'm sure, the time will come and we'll get to go back to Canada. And we've also been to Australia and Germany.
Cool.
With
wow.
letting some of the performers do some very cool things. And we had one of our guys who lived in California moved to Japan, and so he was doing FreakShow Deluxe shows in Japan. And that was a really interesting, that was a very interesting experience for him. And actually he met up with a couple other expats. I say expats, so they're not, they're still American citizens. But they were, the three of them were doing shows together, and he said it was really, it was not anything like that anybody there was doing. He would see like some museums of oddities and that kind of stuff, but nothing like, nothing like the sword swallowing and fire eating and that sort of thing. It's one of those, I'm sure somebody somewhere does, but you're not going to see it regularly. And even for me, when we moved back to Southern California in 2004, and I was like, well, now FreakShow Deluxe is a thing. I'm going to take it, and we're going to see who else is out there. I was very surprised to find out there weren't any other sideshow companies. There weren't other people there were individuals doing individual acts, but there was nobody out doing shows.
Right.
Like full shows.
Right.
So that kind of unexpectedly put us on the map, as it were, there. And it's weird. It's weird how things happen. One of my kids was asking me the other day if I ever thought that this is where I was going to end up. Like, when you were in high school, did you think you were going to end up? No, never in a million years.
Right.
I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but this was not it.
Yeah. So are your kids involved in this as well?
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way. They have been, but now they're too cool for it, because they're
after the eyebrow incident. They probably ran like hell, right?
Well, luckily they weren't around for that. But it's funny when you talk, like the guitarist from Slayer was talking how his kids think he's a big nerd. He's like, but I'm the guitarist from Slayer.
Right.
Yeah. My kids are not impressed. Right. And it doesn't matter what cool stuff you do. Your kids are never gonna.
Hey, they'll be back.
They'll ground you back into reality under their thumb in a second.
Right. So during the pandemic, did that pretty much shut you down like completely? Because obviously you needed an audience, and they weren't allowing that in most places. But.
Right. Almost. We did have the one kind of a good thing now for the past.
And taking it seriously, because we have so many people who are immune compromised.
Yes, right. My partner there pointed out to me that we took the pandemic very seriously, the quarantine very seriously. With being a human anomaly like a lobster boy or a giant or a little person, you mean sometimes they're immunocompromised because of because of their situation. And so we were especially careful, but we've been very lucky. We've worked for the past 12, maybe 15 years at this point. Every Halloween, we've been lucky enough to have a show at, it's now Six Flags Frontier City in Oklahoma City. And, we're there the entire time. It usually runs 6 weeks. And when the pandemic hit, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we were all sort of hunkered down. And then they were the ones, because Frontier City it's a good sized park, but it's not the biggest park. So they were using it as the test mark, like as the test to try and use social distancing and stuff in an amusement park and be open.
Okay.
So one of the things was, we weren't allowed, all the shows were moved outdoors, all the indoor spaces and stuff were shut down. So we were on one of the big outdoor stages, and they're like, you have to arrive 2 weeks early and quarantine. You can't have anything to do with any of the other shows. Can't have anything to do with any other people in the park. They're like, okay. So we took the family, and luckily we'd all been, we were all sequestered together, quarantined together. So we went and, we packed. We took mini bikes and bicycles and like all this extra stuff we normally would have, so the kids could because the park would shut down at the end of every weekend, and there'd be people in there doing work, and we were supposed to avoid them, but I was like, we got to ride bicycles and stuff all around this amusement park. And we were staying in the park. They had a place in the park, and we weren't allowed to leave the park without, every time we left, we were supposed to be tested, and we came back. So we didn't leave.
Right.
That's pretty unique. I mean, it's funny how certain places made things work during that time. Somehow.
And it was
that,
it was doable.
And then also like wrestling. I watch wrestling, and they had the little video monitors in the stands where people can watch from their computer. So people did work around certain things.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty cool how they made things happen like that still. So that's cool.
I imagine the problem for anybody during that time was just finding, and I know for a lot of people like performers and producers that I know, their big issue is how to find an audience and reach an audience.
Right.
Say, I'm going to do this programming, but am I going to reach enough people to make it work? And to make it worthwhile. For some of them, it was just a matter they were trying to keep themselves out there enough so no one would forget about them. So when things were able to pick back up, they could just settle back into their normal lives. And it worked pretty well, I think, for most of them. I had no way that I could find an audience for things for us.
Yeah,
people adapted.
Yeah,
they did, and
the show must go on, right?
Exactly. The great part in the resolution of the the human spirit, not even American, but the human spirit. I mean, one of the points
I was going to say is that, and we also got, the real of it is we enjoyed the fact at our age too, to be able to step back and spend 2 years with our kids.
Oh, well, did you catch any of that? It doesn't. Let me tell you anyway.
Can she come in and say hi real quick?
She doesn't.
Come on in. Don't be shy.
She's all like, you're getting me hit with a chancla, man. One of the
You've
best
had
things,
worse, I'm sure, right?
Well, yes, actually. One of the bonuses points for Miss Mouse and myself was that we got 2 years of getting to hang out with our kids. And you know what? It worked really well. They did not mind. We had to spend enough. We had a big enough house and property that you didn't have to all be like in one room together. I mean, people who were in apartments, I felt really bad for. But I built an outside deck area so we could all sit outside, still far enough away from neighbors and everything else. And my daughter taught herself how to play guitar and ukulele, recorded a record on her own, put it out. Building props, doing stuff. That's what that's what we did. We figured out, like everybody else, we figured out what we could do.
Yeah, a lot of people started YouTube channels. A lot of people found a lot of things that they didn't know they can do and just tinkered around and did them. And I mean, some good things did come out of it, I guess.
We talked to people that found hobbies, and they're making props and stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. I took up making learning to make Chinese food. I found a web page like traditional Chinese. So I started watching that and working on, I'd never tried that before. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah. I started collecting things again during that time because I needed something to get me through, because
it gave people time to do something,
because most people go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say just that chance to breathe.
Yeah.
Right.
To be like and to I know for some people it didn't work, but for a lot of people, and I assume people like us, we all got to be more comfortable with ourselves and understand more what we're personally about.
Right.
And that's frankly one of the better things that I can think of, and that I've been pretty pleased about.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just going to say it gave most people time. Usually it's a rat race every day.
Yeah.
But it kind of gave you time to hang with your family a little bit more, where you might be out running around doing other things. So, like I said, some good things came out of it in a weird way, but
I
hope it doesn't get there again.
I don't want to do it again. Yeah.
No,
I don't need to do it again, but
no. Yeah, once is enough.
I find out with the family plenty now. I'm good. Let's
that's
let's get back to the rat race, right? So, interestingly enough, you were talking backstage. You're going to be here in Maryland on the 18th of May, and then the following weekend, the 25th, you're going to be in Milwaukee, which is close to Colin. So we may both. I know I'm going. But we both have the chance now to see your show and possibly meet you in person.
It's actually crazy because my sister messages me out of nowhere about that. She's, it's kind of like her stuff too. She's like, "You want to go to the convention or whatever?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" So now that I find out you're going to be there, it's like a double hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to find me. I mean, we're gonna have a great time at both places. The Oddities and Curiosities Expo is the event that's in Milwaukee, the weekend after the 18th. So it's 23rd and 24th, isn't it?
Okay. 25th, 26th or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Is it?
Something like that.
No, sorry. Oh, we're all wrong. Are we? No, we're not. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong page. Hold on. That's what I get. 25th, 26th. You're right. The 25th and 26th is the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. We've been very lucky for the FreakShow Deluxe, the company and our performers have been very lucky since the beginning, the early beginnings of that exposition to have gotten to perform at it. And now we get to return. We were just in Louisville. We'll be in St. Louis, Indianapolis, and of course heading to Baltimore and then over to Milwaukee from there. So we've been lucky. We get to we've seen a lot of the country, and the Oddities and Curiosities Expo is it's just amazing. Everybody should go to it. I think
sounds fun.
We were recently we had someone on the show and they were kind of talking about that stuff, and I was like, damn, I want to go to one of those museums or something. And then like a couple weeks later, my sister messaged me. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah. Exactly. So you mentioned Baltimore. Where in Baltimore will you be doing your show?
Oh no, sorry, I said Baltimore, and that is not what I meant. I meant at the up in at the Fifth Company Brewing event.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's close to me too. That's a half an hour out. I might see you
right.
twice.
Exactly. I mean, I will probably wander into Baltimore. I'll probably get lost on the highway and be driving around in Baltimore.
Well, be careful.
I don't think this is it. Yeah.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Right.
So have you been to Milwaukee before?
No, this will be the first time to Milwaukee. I'm super excited. And now Miss Malice has been to Milwaukee before.
Thankfully, you're going in May because it's cold.
Well, there's a lot of breweries here too. So
yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah. Look at that. You got the fireworks going.
Oh, nice.
There'll be plenty to do.
Oh, does that work for me? Because I never tried it.
No, I've never. Like that is awesome.
Yeah,
I've never done that before. So
I have the power.
And we're going to be in St. Louis, and of course St. Louis has the big Budweiser brewery. Now we've been out in the St. Louis area several times before. It is, the tour of the Budweiser brewery is great. There's no law in Illinois. Well, there's not. We were working at some bars that were open like 24 hours. I don't mean just after hours, like cleaning it up stuff. I mean, they were open for 24 hours.
Sounds like Nashville.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like, and it's not like it's a bad thing. We just weren't used to it. We didn't pace ourselves well enough.
Yeah,
when
you
we
get
were coming
excited.
Out and the sun is like hitting you in the morning when you walk out of the dark bar, like,
forget what day it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to avoid the hangover if you're out all night. You don't have to wake up with the headache. It just kind of.
They just keep going.
Already there.
Yeah.
And then, the bad side was like, we got to be out of the hotel in like an hour. Quick, everybody.
We got to
check out. Yeah. Yeah. Just stuff like that.
She sounds like she had a good time too.
Yes. I'm not allowed to tell you the shenanigans that went on, but there were a fair amount of shenanigans with all of the FreakShow Deluxe people. There's all. When I said earlier, and I said we were at Six Flags Frontier City for a bunch of years, but there were times prior to the pandemic, there would be 4 or 5 FreakShow Deluxe shows out on the road simultaneously. So, like, I would be in Oklahoma running one show, but Miss Malice would be in Denver or Seattle or whatever running another show, and then either our President Crystal Curio or Vice President like Joey Dynamite would be running shows in LA and wherever else they needed to be. So last year was the first time since the pandemic that we had 2 shows out simultaneously. So Oklahoma City again for Six Flags, but then there is the Creepy World Haunted Scream Park just outside of St. Louis, which is essentially a small amusement park that's all haunted attractions and scary stuff. And we had a stage set up there, and we're performing. So there was a FreakShow Deluxe show there every night that it was open too.
So you guys actually get split up a little. You're not always together, right?
Yeah, and it's really too bad because Miss Mouse was running the one outside of St. Louis, and and it was a lot more work, I think, than we thought it would be.
You tend to be central to one place. I tend to roam.
Yes, well, I tend to be central to one place and sort of running things out of like I said, Oklahoma, maybe. Mouse is the one who will, because she was doing 1 year. This is how terrible of a partner I am, because 1 year, like, she had to drive to Denver and then fly to Seattle. Like,
I drove from Ohio to Oklahoma to drop you off.
Ohio to Oklahoma.
Oklahoma to Denver.
Oklahoma to Denver. I was kind of right.
She's getting that candy bar ready.
Oh yeah.
Throw at you.
And then a flight to Seattle.
And then a flight to Seattle. So
wow.
make sure that show. Flight to Los Angeles. Oh yeah.
A flight back to Denver.
And then did I meet you there?
Yes.
Yes.
And then I drove back with you
to Oklahoma.
And then I flew out of Oklahoma back to Seattle
to shut down their show in Seattle.
Then back to Denver to pick up everything there.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
Oklahoma, and then back to you.
Right. And then back to me. And then
I guess that's,
it was.
That's one part that we don't think about is like.
Well, I mean, when people ask, I mean, I may have founded it, but she's the one in charge. I mean, she's the one coordinating all of this stuff. It's and it's that mixture of like you're gonna do something weird and somebody's gonna be stranded somewhere if I do it, and then she's, like I said, I have a master's in theater, but she's the one with the business degree, so it's the coordinating of people and stuff is really
it's a good mix.
It's a great mix. It's a great mix. So I wish I wish that I had respected that more when we started, because FreakShow Deluxe went on for several years before Ms. Mouse became a part of it, and it definitely started improving, after that. But we've had as many as 30 company members at a time. I mean, that's how you keep 4 or 5 shows out on the road,
right?
But all different kinds of performers with a lot of different talents. Almost every one of the performers can obviously do more than one act. Many of them more than 3 or 4. So it becomes really great to switch people in and out and do things. And I mean, seriously, we've done fairs. We had the whole seasons and spring, summer, and fall of doing fairs where it's a 10-day fair and you have 4 days off. To break down at one location, get to the next location, get everything set up, and be ready for 10 more days in the sun and the heat and the that sort of thing. It's
grueling sometimes. I guess the travel alone, like people don't think about just the travel, like because I guess most of your travel in the continental U.S. wouldn't be by airplane, I guess, because you have so much stuff to take with you, right? So it's a lot of driving and things like that.
One of the things we're able to do is usually to have vehicles that have the gear, 1 or 2 people are driving them and everybody else flies. Or if we can coordinate things in sort of a tour, sort of a mini tour. So it's like, great, everyone meets up at one spot, fly, everybody can fly home or fly to wherever. And it's not the kind of thing you think of. And I think when you look at, and I've started research, of course, over the years have researched this historical troops and shows that did things. Jim Rose's show, the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow, and even some of the other shows that are still out today, like the World of Wonders Sideshow, which still does state fairs, stuff like that. That is Their main thing, it's pretty great. There's the Great American Sideshow, which is based out of Michigan. And they are running not only like a traveling 10-in-1 sideshow with 10 acts, one show, but also separately a girl to gorilla show where you go in and you see the woman transform into the gorilla right in front of your eyes.
Huh.
And I see you guys are all young. That used to be a real big deal.
Wow.
Up through, with the heyday of I guess the silver age of sideshows during the 1970s.
Well, it was recently. I was wondering if sideshows were still even a thing. I was watching something. I'm like, are sideshows even a thing? Like and I guess they somewhat are.
They somewhat are. It's different now, obviously, than it used to be.
Right.
Sideshows travel with the circus. They were something that you could do, waiting for the circus to open for the show. Or shows during the day. And then when circuses were traveling less and less with tents and that kind of thing, and just costs, so they eased off that. And then the carnivals became a thing. And carnivals were really just little fairs that set up with food joints and games and that sort of stuff, because rides were not, they weren't about rides. And then they were about shows, and there'd be tons of shows, because in the days, especially before television, which really didn't become, it existed and stuff, but it wasn't a super big deal before the 50s and 60s. That was major entertainment, to go to a carnival on a lot somewhere and get to see musicians from New Orleans doing a show and see the frozen Cardiff Giant, the largest specimen ever found, still in a freezer in a tent. See the world's smallest horse, the world's largest pig. See a 10-in-1 of carnival sideshow acts. All those sorts of things. And then those started falling out of fashion as well. Carnivals became more about rides, and fairs and festivals became more about rides. And then the heat on it. You got the heat from local officials for like dings, rip-off stuff where your carnies are making extra money.
Right.
I would much rather go see a sideshow at those carnivals than the way they are now. I would. I
think it'd be cool to bring back like the old tent circus. That'd be so cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I know. I would love that.
There's some really great, but it's also that difference, and I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it, because I've done, I'm still doing some educational work and studying and writing papers and stuff. But there, of course, the backlash over animals, the use of animals in the circus, and animals in zoos and circuses, that's a really tough one. How can you really appreciate the just utter jaw-dropping magnificence of an elephant if you never get to see one?
Right.
That's true.
It's just, you have no idea, and that was, for so many people, like, no wonder they immediately want to protect them. It's unbelievable. And the same thing for a giraffe, and even the same thing for like petting zoos and stuff like that. I've seen like Scottish Highland cows and stuff. I don't know where else I would have seen that. There was a fair recently, and their petting zoo had a little baby kangaroo. That was
cool.
Yeah. That was
man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then, and big cats and that kind of thing. So, but your Cirque du Soleil has done such a great job of presenting circuses without animals.
Right.
And then theatrically, I start looking at it like puppet wise and stuff like that. There have been like the play War Horse, where there's a giant puppet that's the horse. That the actors can ride on and stuff. It's that strong. Right. It's like as big as a horse. And I'm like, even doing those sorts of things is pretty cool.
Right.
And and I think we have too much is used to. I think there's too much that's used to sideshows as being sort of these rip-offs. Traditionally, like it's a rip-off of some kind. You're being cheated. So fairs and fair boards, that kind of thing. Like they're not too hip on. They're not as hip to be in that, and I don't blame them. I mean, there were huge issues. I mean, there were there's a lot of unscrupulous people out there.
Yeah.
It goes with everything.
Right. But times have changed, and I mean they really have. You've got, between all the digital stuff, you can see videos, you can see this. You can easily get the number and get a hold of somebody they worked for before or anything like that. It's made a really big difference. But but since the quarantine, where is entertainment going to go? Period. And I don't, movies are getting this sort of have gotten ridiculously expensive to make.
I think it's video games. Going to video games.
Yeah. And you've got video games that are, I mean, the storylines and all are, for some
it's
of them,
like a movie.
Really
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
You can watch you can watch someone playing a video game, and it's like watching a movie now. It's crazy.
It's actually sometimes better than some movies.
Right.
Yeah. And that, we're always that worry too of, like I've been very reluctant to be in big crowds ever since the quarantine. Not so much that I dislike people or something, but a lot of times it's just, now I notice a lot more when people aren't washing their hands and stuff. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah. And I got to get to the next show, and I can't afford to get sick.
Exactly.
And I can't afford to,
Yeah.
And, so I want to be more, I want to be more careful.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. You do notice that much more like than normal. Like if somebody sneezes or something in their hand, you're like,
it was like, whoa,
you gonna wash that? Don't touch that doorknob, dude. Like, but
well, it's not fun getting. I mean, I just had COVID, and luckily I didn't get pneumonia this time. The first time I got pneumonia. I was in the hospital for a week.
Oh man!
And then on oxygen for a year. Like that. It was horrible.
Yeah, I just had a cold for like 5 weeks, but just a nagging one, where you had the dry cough and all that.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say, but we did a tattoo convention in Connecticut, and we were all being very safe. We wore masks except on stage, like all this kind of thing. But one day we were a little late getting there, and so we walked through the floor of the tattoo show, and there's people everywhere tattooing. It was packed, and I got COVID. That was the only thing I had done. That was the only thing we could trace it to, is I had been in this big crowd without a mask on. The only time that I had done that, and then I got COVID, and luckily not too badly, because I had a number of friends who passed away.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
On one hand, and it was terrible. They were, they were my age, which was old, but my age or a little, a little younger. But it was completely unexpected. I mean, they'd been pretty healthy and stuff, but if it hit him really bad, my one friend, it had hit him really bad in the lungs, and then he was recovering, and all of a sudden he, had a resurgence of it, and they couldn't inflate his lungs back up. He passed away. It was, and even the thought of that happening to anybody is terrible.
That's scary. Yeah. Sure.
Very scary. Not to mention,
a lot of people lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear you lost some friends. That's tough. But that was the scariest part for me. Like if it got into the lungs and like for everybody, but like thankfully I had it and I didn't have it too bad. So
good.
Yeah. Good. That was the scariest part. Like the whole the breathing symptom of it all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's not fun. My lungs still aren't the same. They haven't been the same since it happened.
Oh, I'm sure not. I can only imagine the amount of damage that you never quite recover from it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's that's why when I got it this last time, I was freaked out the whole time, like worrying if it was going to go that far again, and like it takes a toll on you.
Oh yeah, I just thought, that worry alone, and then when you realize how worrisome it is. It's a, and I think we're all brave people, and we all, do things, but none of us are trying to take risks indiscriminately. And always for me, wearing a mask was not so much my protection as to protect other people. Like, what if I get it accidentally and I don't know? I don't want to pass it on to anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Not knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. And not knowing. So let's just hope that
scary times. Hopefully it's all behind us.
Really hope it does not happen again.
No.
Really hope it does not happen again.
Yeah. Or anything worse. Yeah.
Yeah. And this, I think, where we come in about it's really our lives should be around looking out for other people. One of the key components of our show has always been, hey, I can do this, pound nails in my head and come out okay. If I can do this, why can't you do the things that you want to do? Now, I have learned the techniques, I've learned the styles, but you can ask for that raise at work. You can talk to that person that you like. Look at the strength that exists within you as a person, within the human body, and the amazing machine that it is, and take advantage of that. And take that information and use that to live your life to the fullest. And if living your life to the fullest is the collections that you make, the collections you put together. I've been listening to some of your other podcasts, and when you bought that the toys from that one guy, the big ship and stuff like the Jeju things, and then sold another guy at like a reasonable price, like made their dream happen without putting yourself out. I mean, those are the great moments. They really are.
Yeah.
And,
definitely.
And for us, when we're walking around and people are, so we'll send a note over and be like, hey, I saw your show and I just loved it. It made a huge difference. And I'm thinking I want to do, I'm going to do this and go and do this. That's, that's thrilling.
Yeah.
It's so great. I don't know who that person is, but if I made a difference in their life, for even a moment.
Exactly.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. I definitely cannot wait to go see your show. I know I have a smile on my face the whole time. I definitely will.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yes. And I think we're going to do, like at the Oddities and Curiosities Expos, and then at the Fifth Company Brewing event, we'll do like 3 shows, like 3 separate shows so that people can come and go and do whatever. And so we'll change it up a little bit for every show too.
Okay.
I think because last year we did like a full 2-hour show. And people loved it, but I mean, it was 2 hours. It got to be a little, it got to be a little much. I think
it's got to be a little much hammering your face for 2 hours, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the thing. I had a 3-member cast. One of them is a strong man, Hot Todd Lincoln, the old Jewish man trapped in an old Jewish body. But he could, bending horseshoes and ripping 2 decks of cards in half at the same time and all that kind of stuff. And Crystal Youngglove, who also does some strong woman stunts, but she does some indestructible girl acts that were just amazing. She even did a little fire dancing, and it was great. And she and I were both on stage breathing fire at the same time. So that was a lot. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
They all got cool names too.
Oh yeah. Hey,
the names alone, they're awesome.
You got to come up with the cool name.
Right. Yeah. Your name is awesome. Reverend Tommy Gunn. Like you can't they can't get cooler than that. I mean,
and your partner's name. What's her name again?
Miss Malice Aforethought.
See, that's awesome. Where are you going to find that? Like,
exactly. I mean, somebody's got to, somebody's got to
have that name. Might as well be her, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, absolutely. And and then when people ask, like, well, I'm the Reverend Tommy Gunn because I became an ordained minister in 1992, I think, right before a trip to Africa. And I was sort of in LA, like doing stuff with bikers and punk rockers and that sort of thing. And then Gunn is the Scottish clan that my family has history with. And Tommy is my name. So, it wasn't it wasn't something made up.
Yeah,
would
mean something to you. Exactly.
Yeah. And when people ask me and they're like, are you to go put your costume on for the show? I'm like, no. This that I'm wearing right now is the costume. When I'm on stage, that's the real me. Way more interesting, way cooler, much better things to say. A lot more fun to be around from what I hear from the kids. I mean, they're,
I mean, you seem like a fun guy, right? I mean, just to hang out with. I mean, you're happy. You're a good guy.
Pretty awesome. Do you like cigars? I'm all about smoking cigars.
There you go.
Having
Once in a
drinks.
blue moon. Once in a blue moon, I will. I remember the first time I had one. The first time I had one, nobody told me not to inhale, and I got so sick. I got so sick from that thing.
I can feel that just thinking about it.
And I was like speed smoking. I was like, "Oh, this is cool," And I was young and I was like stupid. I didn't know. So, yeah, it was terrible.
Man.
It was like having the flu. It was not good.
Yeah. And
really
think about the next morning when you wake up.
I don't even remember that. It was my God, it was so long ago. But it was not good though.
And I have. So I got into cigars when my mother's father used to smoke cigars, and my father's father used to smoke pipes and cigarettes. So I, at some point, adopted like cigar and pipe smoking to sort of honor them. But I really like the ritual of cigar smoking. Cutting off the end, getting it lit correctly, doing the checking the filler and all that kind of stuff. And I've loved several times gotten to watch people roll cigars, and then even sometimes gotten to because usually then they're aged, but sometimes they'll roll a cigar and you'll get it right then. And it's smoking a cigar you've just watched be rolled is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
there's nothing quite like that.
Wow. Yeah. Are you into horror movies at all?
Yes.
I had a feeling.
I love horror movies. Well, I do have, as my side note for anybody who's interested, on my YouTube channel, which is the FreakShow Deluxe, there are a couple of episodes from Reverend Tommy Gunn's Kon-Tiki Time Theater. And I specialize in maritime-themed monster movies. Because I like monster movies a lot. Like when horror is a pretty vague. It's a pretty, it's an open field.
Right.
But and I had because I also had when I was growing up, and I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, or right near Dayton, Ohio, there was a horror host named Dr. Creep, and I religiously watched that show every weekend. And when I got older and I was in LA doing a radio show and stuff, I used the same theme he had used, and I did that, and then got to meet him, and then we became friends, and we would hang out and do stuff like that. And several other people that I met through him, other performers and horror hosts were. Oh yes, thank you for that. I'll put a pin in that and come right back. But they really encouraged me, like, you should do a horror themed show. Dr. Creep also did. There's an intro we play before every FreakShow Deluxe show. A disclaimer. Dr. Creep recorded that disclaimer for me. So for us specifically. So
I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, he lives a little bit every time we do it, so we never forget him. But
awesome.
The Kon-Tiki Theater was, as far as we know, the only tiki-themed theater anywhere. The Kon-Tiki Theater was in Dayton, Ohio, and so that's it. So it's the Kon-Tiki, it's an ode to the old tiki-themed theater. And I like tiki stuff. I like tiki stuff and horror stuff. I always feel that's maybe from being in Southern California. You got your hot rod culture with your tiki and your rockabilly music, and your lots of velvet and stuff like that. So so I like to so I do that. So during the Kon-Tiki Time Theater, we watch a movie, we'll talk a little bit about it. I'll mix some tiki drinks, show you how to mix a drink to watch the show with, unbox a new tiki mug so that you can see it and give it in. I've never seen it till I actually unbox it. Been lucky so far. They've all come in one piece. But making drinks and stuff like that. So it's been a fun thing. And of course it was a lot easier to do during quarantine than it has been now. And we recently moved, so some of my stuff is still put away, so I haven't gotten it out.
Your home base you're in California?
I am, well, it's a little confusing, but I am actually in, I keep a home. Yes, Alice is right. FreakShow Deluxe is still based in Hollywood, California.
Okay.
Our address is the address of Walt Disney's original studio in LA. So that is our office, and we keep a home there. And then we have another home in the Midwest, not far from St. Louis. And that has become, we've just gotten into here. So the kids go to school here because the LA schools, I mean, that was too much. You know, it's a little much, but we still love being based in Hollywood. We still love doing Hollywood things. We've been at the Magic Castle, which is a private club for illusionists. If you've seen Lord of Illusions, the movie Lord of Illusions with Scott Bakula.
I have not. No.
Horror movie?
No, but I'm definitely going to check it out now.
Oh, yeah. Definitely check it out.
Lord of Illusions.
Lord of Illusions. Part of it takes place at the Magic Castle. They actually filmed it at the Magic Castle. And actually, a side note, one of the cult members in this movie, it is not a low-budget film, by the way. It's a Clive Barker film. One of the cult members is Dookie Flyswatter, who is the lead singer of an amazing band called Haunted Garage, which was based in Hollywood, horror-themed stuff. But Dookie's just the nicest guy, but he's pretty frightening as this cult member in there too. And but I like, my favorite I think is cosmic horror.
Okay.
There's that new Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage. The Void, that was another one.
Okay.
I mean, the Void.
Yeah.
Ooh, that thing.
That's your type of movie. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I just not so much the slasher films and things like that.
Not so much the slasher films, but I've always had a love for the Universal monsters, Godzilla.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
When some of the old Italian, you know, Dario Argento and stuff, they because those were the shows I watched on Shock Theater growing up.
Yeah.
So I still have a love for that, and and there's some great like monster movies that are out right now that I'm really looking forward to this new Godzilla Kong.
Yeah.
Because I've really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a good job with the new Godzilla stuff for sure.
Did you watch the TV series that was on Apple TV?
I started it, and that's been great so far.
Yeah,
I got to finish it yet.
It's good. It's good. The whole thing is, and the decision to use because Kurt Russell plays a character in our modern day, but his son plays the young version of his character.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So they, you know, they did a phenomenal. They did a phenomenal job. Why?
Yeah, I gotta finish it. I started it, and it's so from what I've seen so far, it's great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna be surprised. It's gonna go some places you weren't thinking of.
I haven't watched the new Godzilla movie either. The what the heck's it called? By the original.
Shin, is it Shin Godzilla? No, Godzilla Zero.
Yeah, whatever. Is it Zero? It's some, you know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet either, and I heard that one's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm looking. I still haven't gotten to it yet either, but as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I've been hearing people ranting and raving about that one, so excited to see that too.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We love our horror, so.
Yeah.
And it's not like I dislike the slasher films because I've seen. I mean, you know,
it's a haunted house at a double dead end street.
Yes. Alice wanted me to point out to you, and she is right to do so. The town that we are in is, and part of the reason we got this house because we wanted a Victorian, so we got a small Victorian house, and we are at the corner of two dead end streets. They dead end right here. There is a cemetery across the street, like a huge cemetery. We have woods on one side, no neighbors on the other, and no neighbors behind us, and a great view of the river. And we are in what is known as the most haunted small town in America.
Oh, wow.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah. And it's been
a lot of haunt tours.
A lot of haunt tours. All of the ghost hunter shows have done things in this town. And,
oh, wow.
And since they took down the chain link fence that was across the street blocking us from the the cemetery, and things have gotten we've seen a few things since then. It was pretty quiet before that, but now we've seen a couple. Now we've seen a few things that were like, man, I don't know.
Not rethinking it yet, right?
Yeah. Well, we do have though we do have in our front yard a 12-foot tall skeleton that lights up every night.
That might drive them away, or go out there and do some of your act and scare them back.
Right.
There you go.
Could work.
They won't screw with you.
We did get a complaint from the city about the 12-foot skeleton because he was holding a big gold gun from a puppet theater company that I was on the board for at one time. They did the Rocky Horror Puppet Show, so it was the big gun that they were carrying at the end. Anyway, it apparently looked too phallic. We had to take it. We were asked nicely. They did ask nicely. Our alderman, but it was like, we please take that down.
Can't have any fun.
Yeah. We were like, it's a gun. I mean, we're in America. Can't we have a gun? He's like, please. We're like, all right, yeah, all right. We like her. He's pretty cool.
That's funny.
So, but the skeleton stays, and he was like, that's fine. I don't.
There you go.
I don't care.
They got to meet you halfway. I mean,
nice compromise, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tommy, I thank you again for showing up tonight and hanging out with us, man. It was so much fun, man. That hour went by way too fast, so you're welcome to come back anytime.
You know what? Anytime, if you ever find even like a last minute guest thing and you need to plug it.
Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Oh, how sweet. And she didn't throw anything at you. So next time, maybe she can come on with you.
Oh, see, right? That would be great.
Yeah.
And and seriously, I mean, dang it.
There it is. That's nothing compared to a screwdriver and a steak, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. Next time, I mean, like I said, anytime, like if you even get a guest, if I'm available, nothing I love to sit and talk more about. I mean, we didn't even talk about the great magic wars of the 1970s.
Yeah,
we got unfinished business. So
yeah.
And that's the way I like to leave it. That's the way we do that, because now we can get you back. And I had a blast tonight. It was fun.
And I had a great time too. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope everybody, watching did. Drop us a line. Come and see us. And we got. I was surprised. Actually, I was looking at the calendar and thinking, like, we got a lot of shows coming up in a lot of places all over the country. Yeah. So.
Well, I promise I will be there at Fifth Company on the 28th of May. You'll see this mug, and I'll come up to you and I'll introduce myself, and hopefully you remember me.
Yeah, and then I'm bringing you right on stage.
How can you forget this, right?
I'm gonna put you right through, put you in an act.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Well, I'll see you.
That'd be fun, actually.
So.
That would be awesome.
I know. So
I might hold you to that. There you go.
Definitely. Definitely. I think we'll get it recorded, and then you can put it on
there you go.
On your show. Too.
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah, I'll have 3 cameras going.
Oh shit, I'm in trouble. Yeah, but I'm usually up for stuff. I got pulled onto a show before in Myrtle Beach on stage, and I didn't do much, but it just a fact. My wife looked at me and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going."
Oh yeah.
She's a little shyer. She'd have been like, "No." They would have had to drag her up there, but I was like, "Yes, let's go." So
let's do it.
Yeah, I love it.
That's right.
Yeah,
the way it should be, friend.
Well, if you want to stay and hang out backstage, we'll say our goodbyes.
Okay.
But before we go, just let everybody know on where they can find you on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the good stuff.
Sure. Your Freak Show Deluxe is on all your favorite social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tinder, Farmers Only. Always swipe right for Freak Show Deluxe. It's at Freak Show Deluxe. If you're looking on YouTube specifically, it's at The Freak Show Deluxe. And our website is freakshowdeluxe.com. Now, the website's in the process of being redone, but links to all the social media are still up. So you're able to click on them. I believe there's still a link to our old MySpace page on there, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
That's why that website needs updated. So I guess if you want to talk to the Russians or whatever, you got to go ahead and get on MySpace. And do that.
MySpace. I haven't heard that in a long time. Wow. Blast from the past.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. It was so much fun. You're always welcome back, like I said. So
and I'm looking forward to seeing you.
What's that?
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would love to have you back on. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. Everybody watching on YouTube, thank you. And we'll see you next week. For now, that's what effing figures. We'll see you next time.
Later, guys.
Later.